And I guess it's 1 o'clock, so we'll get started. Thank you all for joining us. Saturday afternoon must be really faithful. Anyway, Dave Simo from Cornell and I, Dean Abdulaziz, or Mo Abdulaziz from the James E. Rogers, University of Arizona, James E. Rogers College of Law. We just got a new name. We were put together, this is like an arranged marriage by John Mayer. And I think it's probably because we're doing or searching or looking for the same thing, what we call an integrated system or an integrated environment. Before we get started here, I have an advertisement to do. Actually, probably two advertisements. One is that last week I sent a message to Technoids and to eTeach and some of the listeners about a person that we need, we're looking to hire at the University of Arizona that will have the responsibilities of an educational technologist, mainly to work with faculty to develop materials for in and outside the classroom, to be the webmaster and things like that. This person is not going to be doing any hardware or network or anything, just very dedicated to that responsibility. In that message, I didn't put the exact job title because human resources still don't have one, and I couldn't do that. But if you know anybody who may be interested, and if you are yourself, please get in touch with me. We can chat. So that's the first advertisement. The second advertisement, actually, this postponed that to the end of this session. Over the last couple of days, I guess some of you here participated in a lunch discussion and exchange of ideas about what to do in the law schools with regards to the administrative systems. We have, looks like every year we have some kind of a crisis, either it's related to tailored solutions or to PeopleSoft or something like that. At Arizona, we haven't really worked much with these third-party systems. We have developed our own for over the last 10 or so years. The systems that we've been working with, they always work. And people like them. Right? But, it's all technology and they're very limited. Right? But one thing that we always had a problem with is that these systems didn't talk to each other. If we wanted, the address of a student, it was a very difficult task to do. Data belonged only to the administrative staff, not to faculty, not to other students. Flow didn't go between one department and another. They enter data about students and prospects in admissions, and data, once they get used, it doesn't go anywhere from there. Okay? The same information is entered into another system, whether it's career services or development or something like that. So we're looking at how we could sort of look at the big picture and see how we can improve this situation. So we wanted to create a system that will start when the student or the prospective student either gets on the web and requests a catalog. We grab their name and their email address and whatever information. We get that, put it in the database, and from there we build on that data. They become students. The challenge here is to keep that data up to date. And then through the 3 years, we will work on that data, keep it up to date, move it from one department to another, until they graduate, go start making money, and then we start sending letters to them to get money back to the school. We help them with career service. So we wanted this big system. That environment we were looking at, we called there we are. An integrated information environment, or IIE. So what is IIE? In business, many companies and many businesses have always tried to do the same thing. Okay? In IIE, that is what I'm saying here is that is defining IIE to an institution or to an enterprise is a big challenge. Why is it a big challenge? It's a big challenge because you need the different communities, the different constituencies, the different parties to get together and agree on what that thing is. Once they agree and they aspire to working to achieving that kind of environment, you have actually accomplished a lot. Okay? If you can get admissions and career services and development and student affairs and financial affairs to try to get together and find out what's common in between them, okay, then you have achieved quite a lot. In business, one of the better definitions that I found was that from Ulysses, in which they say an integrated information environment to them is how the hardware and software from Ulysses and other manufacturers can be integrated into a cooperative computer network. Now here, the key word here is cooperative computer network. Okay? And that's what we are trying to accomplish, to get that cooperation between the different departments. This integrated information network supports an enterprise's business goals and helps it to rapidly respond to its customers. In one of these sessions that there was, we were talking about what's the mission of it. What are we doing? We're supporting the mission of the college. Okay? We all support the mission of the college or of the law school. But how do you, in practical sense, okay, achieve that? How do you make your admission support program supports your the mission of the school? How do you make career services support the mission of the school? in business, they want to make more sales. They need to satisfy their customers. That's their mission. At the University of Arizona, when I say the University of Arizona, I mean the main campus. They have a project. They also call it the IIE. And in that, they had a vision, and the vision of the IIE project. Information technology is to be fully integrated with the research, learning, and business activities. These are the three main things that our university does. They do research, they do teaching and learning, and they have business to perform. And their vision is how to bring IT to support these three things together and to create that kind of environment to further the success and excellence of our initiatives. And these keywords that I put in there are very essential in an IIE. The system, the environment has to be friendly, it has to be efficient, it has to be easy to use, and for the different communities in that environment, the students, the faculty, the staff, and the administration. Okay? All of these communities need to work together to make that environment a success. As I said before, our problem has always been, I don't know what the situation is like in other places, is how to get these different communities to work together. That always belong to the staff in the administration area. Okay? Students had nothing to do with it. Faculty didn't have anything to do with it. Okay? Now, one example I give you is that we have something called faculty allotment. Okay? What is faculty allotment? Each faculty member is allocated a few $1,000s to support their research activities. Okay? It's their own. They can spend it any way they like. Okay? Except that it is very difficult for a faculty, and still it is, okay, to know how much they have in that faculty, in that fund. Okay. Why is that? Because access to information is not available. Okay. It's not available to the faculty, it's not available to the students, okay? It's not available to many people except that one individual who happened to be working on, who happened to be responsible for that kind of information. This made it very, very difficult thing to do. If a faculty member wanted to know something about a student, for example, what their background or something like that, they can't really do that. So, a couple of years ago, we said we wanted to change that kind of thing. We had a new dean, and we got the administrators together, okay, the directors and assistant deans in charge of their services, and all of them together. And we presented a proposal to do what we call a functional analysis. A functional analysis of all the departments to try to see how or what the possibilities are of creating a system in which the different departments can cooperate with each other. That's what we, the first thing that we think, the first step that needs to be done in building or creating an IIE, okay, or information or an integrated system. Okay. First, you have to have to know what the user requirements are, what their needs are. We put a simple form that the administrator took to their staff. And each one of them had to identify the functions that they do. And they do this thing, that thing, 1, 2, 3. What the tools and resources that they use at the time. What the problems that they have. What they think they need to improve that situation. Okay. Who they work with. And then we collated all of that stuff. And we had let's see here. This is not very clear here, but this is the functional chart that we came up with. It's just lists what everybody is doing. And I'm getting here, lost it. That was the chart, but the functional requirements is as I said, we had everybody found this information, we took it together, and we had, then we got classified all the functions by department. For example, in admissions, they do catalog request, they do applications processing, file processing, report generation, etc. Each department, whatever functions they do. And we had several meetings, and we don't have anything for the library. Mike was new then, so I don't think he participated in that. Our director of the library is here. But we did that, and it was a very good exercise that people who participated in it, okay, they just sat back and looked at what they were doing. Okay? And that, sometimes things click to them. We're doing this, but we really don't need to do this, or we need to do this in a different way. They started talking to each other. Okay? And so we started to identify areas that are shared. For example, orientation. Okay. Admissions participate in orientation. The student affairs participate in orientation. Okay. But they really, once they don't do things together. Okay. They don't sit down and discuss things. They say, why don't we do that? Okay. So while we were doing this exercise of identifying functions, okay, they started talking to each other more and more. Okay. We identified, I don't have much time to go over the details, but perhaps after, because we agreed, Dave and I, we'll talk for 20 minutes each, and then we'll open it for discussion and see which things we're going to focus on. Okay? But one of the things that we said we wanted to do is that is the flow of data needs to go from one department to another to another. Okay? So the first thing that we identified that needs to be done is what we call the person object. we have people. We have lots of people that we deal with, not only students. We have students, we have staff, we have faculty, we have friends, we have law firms, we have people who give us money, we have student organization. We need to and all of these people somehow share information. We have a campus that we have to integrate with. Okay? Registration takes place with the main campus. Okay? But although in admissions we get the students, we get their name, we get that information, okay, we don't talk to main campus. Okay? They have to send that information again. Okay? There is no replication. There is no give and take. Our access to what we call the S system, that is the FRS, the SIS, the PSOS, and UIS, okay, very archaic, okay, using Telnet, okay, if they want to look at a student record, okay, they Telnet to that system, and then they do print screen to print that, it's very ridiculous. Okay. A lot of time is wasted. So we said we wanted to improve that situation. We started making contact with them in campus. How do we start exchanging instead of, just have that passive connection to the main campus systems? Okay. So we wanted to have our IIE integrated with the main campus IIE. It's a very long, many meetings took place and are taking place. And, sometimes we do a lot and then we stop because some crisis, and then we catch up some other time. Okay? But the main idea here is to start this process. And as I started my talk, that is over the 2 days that we were meeting over lunch, decided that this is something that law schools need to do, okay, in order to, that is, we have to have a common vision, and we have to have, so that we can go talk to vendors or talk to third parties or talk to ourselves about building a development or alumni system that we can all use, or a career services system that we can all use, or an admission system that we can all use. But we can't do that unless we have a framework that we all agree with, okay? So that it will be easier for those who want to work with us to work with us. Okay? We can't just tell them, we want an admission system, okay? Because what somebody from Berkeley may like as an admission system, I from Arizona may not agree with. Okay? But if all of us agree on what should be in an admission system, what should be, what are the features in a career services system, what are the features in an alumni system, then it will be more inviting to vendors, okay, to provide us with the systems we need, okay, because they know, we all agree on this, so they know what the market is going to be like, okay, but they can't just, talk to me only. Am I going to develop a system just to sell to one institution, to two or three? But so that's my second advertisement. Okay? You will probably get a message from John Mayer about having a task force that will, make contact with the different schools to develop this vision, to reach and understand about what kinds of systems, and those of people who are interested in furthering this discussion, we probably can do that afterwards. And now, friend Betsy. connection key to this OSD.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Thanks, Mo. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Sema. I'm from Cornell Law School. I've got a slightly different take on this topic. I agree a lot with what Mo's been saying. What we're doing is kind of doing some redevelopment, some reintegration. The founding, what I call the founding fathers of paradox at Cornell, I think Tom Bruce was one of them, developed a whole bunch of applications at Cornell for everybody, for various administration, for admissions, registrar, alumni development, and so on. They're in paradox by for DOS. They're related, and the data do move from one to another, from admissions to registrar to public affairs, alumni, and development. But they're old, and they don't, in some cases, they don't quite work together exactly. You have to kind of fudge the data and move it along. It's not a seamless progression from one system to another. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why we need to pursue this. A couple other thoughts I had is, just even some people could probably get away with buying a suite, because some people have different needs. They're doing word processing, spreadsheets, databases. So there's that kind of integration. For most people, that's not enough, but it's a tool that you can use. Like we use Access 97. So if we want to move something to Word, or if we have something in Excel and want to move it, there's sort of like a de facto integration that way. And then of course the internet with the development tools therein gives us another way to kind of add functionality and do new things. So these are some of the reasons why. The main one for us is that we have to make sure our data is moving correctly. We spend time maintaining things that we already have. So our goal is, it's sort of like a de facto underlying structure, but we want to create a formal underlying data structure. I've been hearing like from cradle to grave. I like from soup to nuts better, and sometimes with our students. So we're going to follow them from admissions through alumni. Okay, and the other thing, it's kind of a two-tailed integration. One is to integrate the data so it moves from one place to another, but also to integrate new technology. So I'm looking at integration as being kind of a dual meaning here. And we want stable, robust applications. Our paradox applications, well, they're old DOS applications. They're not that robust. And they're easy to use, but you know, in the Windows world, once you get people up with Windows, they can tackle just about anything. The file is always the number one item on the menu. You know, so things are easy to use, and things are a little easier to update. I look at some of this old DOS code, and my head starts spinning after a while. So as I mentioned, we have all these little paradox databases. And one thing, this is my third CALI conference, one thing I've gotten from working at Cornell, but also from hearing what other people say, law schools are very independent entities. And ours is, like our school is very independently minded from the rest of the university. Okay, so what we do, we collect all our admissions information in-house. We don't use the admissions for the main school, for the main university, I should say. And what we end up doing is doing uploads, sort of like Moedene's saying, telnetting, or moving data from our systems to the university mainframes. But we do everything in-house. Our alumni people feel that our databases, and our development people feel that our databases are better than the ones provided by the university. So we've got a very independently minded school, and I suspect that many of you, it's the same way for you in your universities. And then lastly, we have a wide range of applications. Who has what keys to what building, journal subscriptions, your phone bills, and of course, again, admissions, registrar, alumni development, and so on. So we support a wide range of computing needs. The integration I'm thinking primarily of is student services, admissions registrar, and alumni development. So what exactly is it that we're doing? We're using Access 97, and we're going to use Cold Fusion. We started currently, but nothing. I've seen some nice things. I went to Eric Noble's session, and he has a real nice events calendar. And Eric from North Dakota, he showed me something he did. Really nice, fancy stuff. Our stuff's a little austere, bare bones for right now. So I say Cold Fusion front ends to follow. We're working on, I'm doing a registrar rebuild currently. And it took me about a month and a half. We've got this lottery for certain classes that close out. And so I've been working on those kind of guts for right now. And once we have things functional and moving along, then we'll work on some of the front ends. Another item that's come up, we have the staff, and we had the staff before to develop things in-house. Some people have a staff of one or a staff of two, but development isn't always going to be something, hey, let's just go ahead and write a whole bunch of code, create a whole bunch of applications. So third-party items are certainly a big piece of the puzzle for people. We use Taylor for our career services. We didn't build something, so we integrate things. Our alumni database, we've got a whole bunch of old records, and we're going to have to buy a third-party system to split area codes, because area codes keep splitting, and we've got alumni who have the wrong area codes. So we're going to have to buy some sort of off-the-shelf or commercial product to go through our databases and say, oh wait, this needs to be changed. Okay, so what we did, we bought an admissions module from a third-party vendor, which was 97. We were planning on doing 97 anyway. Our Dean of Admissions is also our Dean of IT. He invited us down to check the demo out. And we thought, well, it's okay if you like it. Everybody kind of liked it, so we plunged ahead. And we thought, since we are using 97 for our development efforts, what the heck? It seemed like a good marriage. We'll be taking a subset of that data, and it will be moving along from registrar and eventually to our alumni database. As I mentioned, I'm currently redoing the registrar system. Things halted for a while. Elmer Masters, who was our former director, went to Emory, and they said, well, Dave, why don't you do some of his stuff for a while? I said, okay. And so things have kind of halted. What we want to do is we want to get it up and running, if not 100%, most of the way for fall. We'll run it from fall to spring through graduation, try to get the bugs out, and then say goodbye to Paradox for the registrar in fall of 2000. That's our goal. Hopefully things will come along just well. We have done a little bit of Cold Fusion. We've got online student online student course questionnaires. They ask ahead, what would you like to see in the course listings for next year? So we put it up. Our main office has a really high dependence on paper right now, so that's one big goal, is to kind of lessen the paper flow. You've got people doing data entry for hours and hours on end. If we can have the students do it, it'll save them some time. We're doing a collection of summer addresses. Another thing to tell the students, hey, go to this URL, they enter the stuff in. Alumni searches. What happened to my friend Bill, who I graduated in 97, and go look him up, see where he is. And a very fletching event calendar. Having seen some of the other ones, I say it's very, very austere. You won't be seeing it. Elmer, before he left, created a web-based admissions request page. On the slow months, we get about 200-300 requests. And when it's hot, we get somewhere in 400 to 600. We got like 19,000 records in our database, and well over half of them are from the web, half of the requests. We'll be doing the alumni after we do the registrar. Some of the stuff that we want to do, that we see the need for. Some of the stuff that's as we go along, we'll see, oh, geez, we can do this too. We need to do this. But the things that are very evident to us, one is we need to be able to have our application downloadable. And I've seen some sites where you can download in Word, Word Perfect, and so on. But we're going to do, I spelled Acrobat wrong. Anyway, there'll be Acrobat format, so that way when they print it off, it looks just like our application. They can send it in. I think that's a pretty straightforward thing to do, and it'll save them a lot of grief. We want to do pre-registration and registration online for our students. What we could do is cut off a section of the lab, for example, and say for the next 2 days from 9 to 12, you can do your online registration here, or if you want to dial in from home or go to a Carol and plug in, you can do your online registration. Again, our main office, and I'm sure you see this at your schools, when this time comes, they're just besieged by students, can't get any work done, tons of paper all over the place. We are thinking about using Cold Fusion's LDAP extensions. That's one way we could do some security for our databases. Someone else had told me about a Kerberos tool for Cold Fusion as well. And that's nice because at the law school, everybody has their Cornell University ID and password, and you have your law school ID and password. A lot of people don't even bother with our network. They just go through the university. So that might also be something for us to look into. And then I heard Keith use this word, our help desk guy, so I used it. We want to webify some simple aspects of our applications. Data entry, reporting, lookup, searching, things like that can easily be done. The Paradox databases aren't local, they're on a network, and when everybody's hitting them, slows down our network considerably. And so we're thinking that we can move some of this to a nice NT box, although we'll let consult Tom Ryan get the right security now. But this way we can take some of the heat off our network too. And again, as I mentioned, I think that a lot of things will, as we go, we'll learn a lot more. One of the mantras I've heard throughout the conference is that you need to invest your end users in the process. I think the people who came before me to do this with Paradox have done that. So our users, a lot of our staff have been there 10, 15, 20, some 30 years. They're very familiar with their data. They know what they want and need, and they're not shy about saying, hey, I'd like this, this, and this. With Paradox, we can't give them half the stuff because it's old. It doesn't like to do some of the things that we can do now. So people will tell us what they want, and we'll see if we can fit some of those things in. I don't know what they are right now, but I'm sure that we'll be finding out in great detail as we go along. Then I mentioned Y2K. This is right around the corner. Access 97 is year 2000 compliant, so that's not a problem. We had a test network. The university had a big Project 2000 initiative. We had to make a presentation to the provost and to the president back in March. And so what we did, we created a test network, turned it ahead to 1/1/2000, and saw what happened. Everything worked. I was really happy about that because development is slow enough without having to try to get everything really moving for the beginning of the year. It is possible, however, that some things will go south. The programs work, the data works, but you never know. So we're kind of prepared for that as a contingency. Things may have to be changed, but we'll make it work. In the case of the registrar system, if enough of it's built, we'll just say, okay, look, we're going ditch Paradox, and let's just move early. Heard a lot about PeopleSoft from various folks. There's varying degrees of feeling, a lot of animosity. And we have something called Project 2000 at Cornell, which is being implemented using PeopleSoft and Formix. They're merging all 13 of the colleges into a one-size-fits-all situation. The student module, the calling the student module, which will be used primarily by the registrar, is supposed to go online 1/2/2000. And I'm not so sure about this. If you ask 10 people at Cornell who are involved with computing, you'll get, oh yeah, they're going to be right there. Yeah, they call it 200X. We're not sure. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep moving along. We're going to keep redeveloping and make sure that we're ready. What I think will happen eventually, obviously eventually they're going to implement it. As of right now, the meeting that we had been to a couple months ago, they had 51 reports ready to roll, no ad hoc querying, and nice web access to look up people. So there's still even once it's implemented, there's still going to be a role for us as far as having a complementary product, or complementary system that does some of the querying that they can't do already. Maybe there's some reports that we know that we do they couldn't build it. At the very least, even if this thing, once it's finished, I suspect that we'll be running something, even if it's stripped down, that's a complementary system. So that they don't get everything they need. So that's what we're planning on anyway. We're thinking we're going to still have some sort of role, but I suspect once this is really up and running, it's going to be diminished. It's just a matter of when. Okay. The third-party vendor issue is a really interesting thing. I talked to some people about this, and I've got some mixed feelings about our admissions system, and I don't want to get into this bashing business. We have 2 DBAs. When we got one last August, what we thought we would do with her is the admissions module had been implemented right then. So we thought, well, instead of throwing you into redeveloping something, let's just set you there and you can help them at first with any questions they might have. Well, her first month, probably at least 50% was taken helping them with the new product. And every week she's doing something with it. Not a week goes by where she's not in contact. I think some third-party vendors, third-party systems are better than others. Our Paradox apps, for example, were very closed down. You couldn't access Paradox's engine. There's a menu full of things, reports, queries, various things you could do, but they were agreed upon. If they needed something else, they'd ask us and we'd build it. With our particular admission system, you can access its engine. And if you delete a table or a query or a form, you better have backup. So that's a development of an approach that I don't necessarily agree with. And then there were some other things. And if you want to know who the vendor was and all that, I'll tell you, after we're done meeting, if you're really interested in that. I put down development versus maintenance because we have over a dozen systems, and it seems like we're moving along, doing some really good stuff, and all of a sudden somebody's Paradox database craps up. We've got to work on that for a while. We come back, where were we? So sometimes development lurches along, and Moedina mentioned that too. Now, sometimes they're really moving along, something happens, and it comes to a screeching halt. So one other thing I should mention about the third-party issue. And this would be the same whether we developed it or not. We'd probably need 1 year cycle, one full admission cycle, whether it was our system or this one, to work out the kinks. Every time I get down on it, my coworker says, Dave, we need a year. Some of these things won't be an issue next year. People have to learn access, how to use it, how to run queries, all these things. They knew how to do that in Paradox. There's a learning curve there that we have to follow. Next year, things shouldn't be so bad. The development issues, again, and the user issues, they kind of go hand in hand. Trying to vest the user with ownership. Again, you've heard this, throughout the conference, and it's important. We try to get people to give us a wish list. Some of the stuff we can do for them, some of them we can't. We try to be upfront with them and say, well, no, we're not going to try to tie into the rest of the university schedule right now. We want to make sure we can do our own scheduling for our courses, for our students. And then support issues. And we already do our own support. For our data people, they seem to be pretty happy with us. But the third-party systems, we're lucky, I think, that we have 2 people who know access. We can help these people when they have problems because the third-party vendor is a small one, and we can't always get the support that we want or need when we want it. So they have us. And so that's going to be tricky. When Project 2000 comes, and some of these modules that's the start. There's going to be an alumni development one, and there's going to be admissions one, but our admissions will never go to the university. There's 4 core colleges inside Cornell that use their own systems, and they'll never, you should never say never, but based on the law school experience, I don't think we will ever go to using their system. We want complete control over our information. What's going to happen when Project 2000 comes and they've got their systems? Who's going to support it? Who truly supports the third-party system? When we have a problem with the admissions database, we look into the tables, see what's wrong, and make a recommendation to their support people. The main person who is the third-party person is on the roadblock. We can't always get them. The support person has blinders. If it's a certain type of problem, they can nail it right away. If it's something off the beaten path, we kind of have to guide them. So we're fortunate that we have the staff for it. And that's an issue, I think, for people who have a staff of one, or if you don't necessarily have a staff and you're just buying third-party things. One size doesn't fit all. And we had customization done on ours, and still there's some things that have to be tweaked. So that's an issue for those of you who are looking. Moideen mentioned this consulting consortium idea. Some people may not be able to wait, and they have to look. And, well, it's just going to be interesting to see. You have to keep an open eye, work with your users, see what they need, see if the product really fits your needs, and go from there. Okay, I think we need to open it for questions. One thing I have to do real quick. Hi, Annie. Hi, Will. Because I don't know if they're watching today, but I know that they'll want to see it later on.
Let me just mention that one of the common things between us two is that we also standardize on the front end towards access. And that's mainly, because it's a popular DBMS, and users, one of the features that we need to look for in an integrated environment is two things we were looking for mostly. That is common interface and common databases. That's because, when you have different departments using different things, they can't support each other. If somebody in admissions is sick, for example, and then since human resources are very limited in most hospitals, then operations in that business in admissions goes to a halt. There is nobody that knows that admission system that can come and cover for that or substitute for that. So we were looking about, we're using the same tools. We selected Access because of its popularity, because the university in general adopted it. So even if support is not available at the college, they can go across the street or across the street to the computer center, and they'll get support in that area. The interface, we have two ways of interface. One that is those who work with the data, who manage the data. They do it either, the functions within Access. We just finished the development alumni system. If people are interested, can look at it. I have it all here on my notebook. We're going to go parallel in July, that is running the old system and the new system. But we have two kinds of interfaces, or two kinds of access. Those who work with the data, those who are responsible for the data, and those, like the dean, who just wants to check, how much so-and-so contributed in the last year. So we used also called Fusion to provide that browser access to the database. It's much easier. They don't have to get anything. So we're using that for external use and internal use. We've called Fusion for about 2 years now, and things are really working fine. We use it to get admissions information, those catalog requests that we have the forum there show. That was also very successful for us, because prospective students go there from September of last year through April. We got about 7,000 requests. That is a lot for us. Now, what does that mean? That means that those prospective students, they put in their names, their addresses, their email addresses, their phone numbers, That went into a database. Instead of somebody taking the phone calls or getting the letters and entering that data, printing those labels. Okay? So satisfying those requests was much more efficient than it used to be. Okay? And then that information came from the source, because we know it's accurate. Okay? Nobody, had to type it in or to listen to the answering machine to get that information. So it's a much more efficient way of doing it. And then we built on that data. Questions?
Should we put you to sleep?
Do you have any concerns that access may not be
Scale.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that why you're interested in the administrative computing consortium?
It is on the front end, and it depends on how you really build your system. Okay? Then you can have in the back office, you can have either Microsoft SQL. The university, our university is going Oracle now, so we don't know really what is going to be in the big background over there. Right? But this is an interim.
Okay, so you see this as an interim.
That's right.
The part of the class registration for the registrar, we had this big arcane lottery who gets what classes when for oversubscribed seminars, and there's like this big decision tree, and it works. But once in a while, after running, it says, "I need a coffee break." It shuts down. Everything works. Like I verify the data afterwards, it does everything it has to do. Now this could be, in my case, I need to tweak the code and make it a little tighter. Our registrar database houses maybe 700 students. So we're not talking a huge amount of information, as far as data being crunched. 600-700.
How can only be 700 students?
We do about 200. We have about 200 students in each of first, second, and third years, and about 50, 60 LLMs. The admissions database right now is around 19,000, but they aren't. The files are fairly reasonable to deal with.
But what about past students? What do you do?
The alumni database. The alumni database right now has around 8,000 people, and we haven't gotten there yet. But like in that case, if we cut the data up so we're not talking big long tables, we have nice tight table structure, I don't think we'll have a big problem. We have enough memory, and I have nice big strong boxes to run them off of. Haven't really seen a lot of problems, just the occasional strange thing. Oracle would be an option, but Oracle's expensive. And we don't have anybody on site who knows this, so we've got to invest in training. And that's something else that has come up that you've seen. The technology just isn't a one-time, plunk down the money, right? There's the investment in people. Access as a skill is a lot easier to find, and especially, there was a talk amongst yourself on IT budgets for staff. Well, an access person is probably going to be a little cheaper to get than an Oracle person. So there's all those kinds of things to consider as well. And so I think access is probably going to eventually turn into SQL Server as some iteration down the road. And maybe SQL Server will be a nicer, stronger thing too. But we haven't really seen a lot of problems with access.
Do you all print your transcripts in-house?
No, well, I guess we print like a working transcript, but not the official thing. The official thing comes from our official registrar. And that's one of the things. This Project 2000 thing at Cornell is supposed to go up 1/2/2000. Will not go up if they don't have transcript ready. So.
Good shift.
On a side note, I'm a little wary about saying this, but the human resources people beat off Project 2000. They're supposed to implement it. They kick their butts. They're not implementing. I don't know when they're going to. Eventually, I guess. Keith Slayton helped us, but I know some about that too. But it's a tricky situation right now. But I think access will work for us.
I put on the screen here, this is our latest, we're doing work on the development alumni application. This is the way it looks in Access. This is complete. We'll go on production, as I said, in July. We have our older system is running on the BS4 on the VAC system, and the VAC system is getting old and very expensive to maintain and very difficult and slow compared to even PC these days. We're going to run parallel for a couple of months until we see how the things go. We're working on building the other interface that is for the non-essential people that really to access this from a browser point of view. We're doing also a lot of work with the we've done some things with career services like job postings, like getting requests from employers to schedule their on-campus interviews and things like that. We're doing all of that with CALI. And as I mentioned, we did the same thing with admissions. We're going to have our online applications after we admit in August this new class. We will start converting the old system admissions to the new platform. And so we're going to be working from both ends and trying to put these things together. One of the things that we are working on, agreeing, is that it's who's responsible for what, especially when it comes to addresses, phone numbers, things like that. It seems to be difficult to keep up to date. Right? So in that person object that I mentioned, we have each person that has an owner. That owner is the registrar or admissions or development office or whoever. They are responsible for keeping that information about that person up to date. Each person also is assigned an access level to this database or that database. What kind of information they are allowed to just see, to just write, to change, modify, things like that. So these are one of the things that we are trying to establish, this who's supposed to do what, who can do what, and things like that, which are really important in this environment. Yes?
What kind of staffing do you have dedicated to these projects? Are you just working on these database projects, or do you have other tasks that you do?
In my case, we had 2 DBAs. I'm one of them. Although now I'm going to be maybe, like I'm the interim director now, I'll be the associate director. We're kind of revamping our help desk a little bit. Keith Slayton, our help desk manager, is going to still do the help desk, but mainly take care of staff needs. He's going to run our lab. And one of our we farmed out most of our hardware. We replaced it all. And we've gotten service contracts for our hardware. So the hardware person will be doing faculty support, give them a little more, have one person dedicated to them instead of Keith running around with his hair on fire trying to make everybody happy and getting burned out. And then what I'll do is I'll help those guys and especially work on the faculty end. So my database involvement, I'm the one who knows the Paradox databases. So until they're long gone, I'll be around for that and then help on the Access redevelopment. We're looking to hire a webmaster or like a web-based programmer to do the front ends. because that way we can spend our time on doing the redevelopment, speccing the systems, figuring out how they need to work. Let's say the web person, we need these kinds of front ends. The web person will also do other constituencies, the student groups, the library, who is just chomping at the bit. They want to ramp up and get a lot done. And also the faculty, while they're resistant to change, some of them probably want to do some work. And I don't know if you saw Tom Rogers' thing on Thursday. He started slowly and got friendly with them and paid attention to them, and all of a sudden they started all falling in line. And so we have 2 people now, and I think it'll end up still being 2 people, but like one full-time person doing data stuff, me doing some data stuff, and the webmaster doing some data stuff. But like the faculty stuff may not involve data. It might involve putting up their work, doing HTML stuff. So it's 2 people, no matter how you slice us, I guess.
We're sort of the same situation. As in addition to we have one other full-time person working on this. But some functions are going to need that we contracted, especially when it comes to the interface between the College of Law systems and the campus systems. Those functions are going to be either contracted with the computer center itself or with other partners. But we don't have one person mentioned.
For the smaller institutions, they have like one person to cover everything, and you're looking at third-party systems. The idea of investing your users in the process is going to be critical, because if they know what they're doing, they know what their day-to-day is. They may not know the guts of the system you're looking at purchasing, but you can say, oh, it does this, this, and this, or they can look at the demo with you or what have you. We looked at a Micron Enterprises solution that they access a CD to the career office. And I looked at it, the director of career services looked at it, and the main person who works with the data looked at it. And she said, oh, this looks just like Taylor. This looks just like Taylor. She knew what she did day in and day out, so she could actually get a decent assessment of the system, what it did and what it didn't do. So in the case of where you're looking to get something that you can't develop yourself, involve everybody you possibly can in looking at the item in question. So that way there won't be as many surprises after the fact. Because after 30 days after you've been using it, you can't say, we don't want this anymore. They're not going to give you that money back. Consultants are snake oil salesmen. I was one once.